Okay, when you get to college algebra, we kind of already assume that you can factor. So I'm going to run through these factoring ones really quickly because it is one of those things that's a prereq we expect you to do before you get to us. So the first type of factoring we have in this section is greatest common factor. And so you've got 10x cubed minus 4x squared. I see they're both even, so I'll take out a 2. I see they both have an x, and you'll take out the smallest one, which is x squared. So I'm going to take 2x squared out of these terms. So when I take that out, that leaves me with a 5x minus 2 left over. And that's how that one would look. In the second one, we have grouping. 4 terms shows us that we're grouping. Let me choose a different color, that'll help. So if I group my first 2 and my last 2, here's what I notice. In the first 2, what they both have is an x, so I'm going to take an x squared out of that piece, and that leaves me with an x plus 5. And in the second group, what I always do is I take out the negative sign. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I always take out the third sign. In this case, it was negative, so I'm going to pull a negative out. Now, what they both have in common is a 2, so I'm actually going to take negative 2 out of this group. So that would leave me with an x left over. That would give me negative 2x. The 10's already negative, and the 2 is negative, so that means what's going to be left is a positive 5, since negative 2 times 5 would give me a negative 10. Now, that is not your answer. That's not your answer. So what you need to do is one more step. You'll notice that they both have an x plus 5 in common, so you want to take one x plus 5 out, and then you can see what lies behind. So what lies behind is an x squared minus 2. Okay, the next group that you have are easy trinomials, and what's important about these are the signs. You'll see that in this one with 40, it ends with a positive, so that means the signs in parentheses are the same. The next one you'll see ends with a negative. If it ends with a negative, that means the signs in parentheses are different. Okay, so the way this works is the numbers that make up x squared would be x and x, and then we have to look at our values of 40. Our values of 40 would be 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 times 10, 8 times 5. We're looking for what in those pairs would add to give me 13. And so that would be 8 times 5. I know the signs are the same, and since I'm looking for a positive 13, that means they'll both be positive. Okay, looking at our next one, my factors of x squared would be x times x, and my factors of 14 that would subtract to give me 5 would be 7 and 2. But the signs are really important. So 7 and 2, I'm looking for a negative 5. If you come to the side and do your signs, the larger one needs to take the sign of the 5. So that means the 7 should be negative and the 2 positive. And that's your answer for that one. Now what you'll notice about the last one of this set is that they have a common factor. So the first thing we're going to do here is take out a GCF. They each have a 3 and they each have an x. So if I take a 3x out of this group, that leaves me with x squared minus 10x plus 25. Okay. Now, sometimes your factoring problems might have more than one step. Well, GCF was my first step. Now then, I can do the trinomial part. You'll say, well, what do you do with the 3x? You just bring it on over, and then you can factor what's left. For this problem, I'm looking for the factors of 25 that add to give me 10. So that would be 5 and 5. They are the same sign, both negative. Now, there are other ways to write this answer. That way works great, would give you full credit, but you could also write it in this fashion. I don't care which way you write it.